What is going on? What is going on, YouTube? We are live. We are live. We are back in the building, and a special shout outs to you. So what up? We got a good show for y'all today on a Friday. It is Grown Men Trash Talking, and I'm excited to bring y'all some content. And I really want to know. I got a question from my people. What is going on? I'm trying to give away these headphones. I got some channel subscribers and channel members that are not posting the video. All you need to do is repost, hashtag me to marry, and I'll ship these headphones to you. They're the Apple's AirPod Max. I know y'all want them, and it's a very easy win. And obviously, the more you post, the more you have a chance on winning. So, channel members, do me a favor, y'all. Go over there and make sure that you are sharing the content, hashtag me to marry, and of course, you want to add Mingo365 so that way I know it's you who reposted the content on your IG. But that's all you got to do, and you got yourself a pair of AirPods. Come on now. It's easy. It's easy. I got you. You know what, Shay? What up, Shay? I got to play the commercial. But unfortunately, I was running around and I didn't get a chance to drop it in my queue. But before I end the show, I promise I'm gonna play the commercial. But what's up, my people? We are here on a Friday, a good Friday, right? Literally, a good Friday, right? Y'all prepare for Easter. And I really hope that you guys have a good time with your family. You know what I'm saying? Those of you heathens that only go to church on on Easter Sunday, have a good time. Make sure you wear your Sunday's best. Don't go in there looking like a bum. Dress up and take care of yourselves for the Lord. And that's what I'm talking about. So let's make it happen this weekend. So check it, right? We've been filming, and filming. It is crazy. What up? DP is in the building. He says, hey, chat. He said Good Friday and Resurrection Sunday, right? I've been going in. Your boy has been extremely busy creating Meet to Marry content with the team. Shout out to, I don't know where Skinny. Skinny will be here though. You know Skinny coming. You know what I'm saying? And Amir is in the building. What up? Shout out to you. Y'all need to take a check because Amir would be on this coming episode of Meet to Marry. You don't believe how much we shot 2 episodes this week on 2 different days in 2 different locations, which is why I didn't have Sunday show. So I couldn't shoot open conversation on Sunday because we was filming Meet to Marry. Last night, we actually filmed the episode as well. We've been extremely busy over on this side of YouTube. But I'm excited because we really got some dope content and just bringing y'all more of the ideas that I have in my crazy brain that I want to, I want to give y'all some good entertainment. So I've been working and trying to make sure that I'm becoming more and more creative for y'all. So shout out to y'all. Shout out to my crew. Shout out to Shay. Shout out to my wife, Dion. Shout out to Professor. Shout out to Makiba. Shout out to Tom. Shout out to Josh. The whole crew who's been putting in countless hours. Arthur. The whole crew has been putting in countless hours of work to make Meet to Marry become even better than it ever was. So shout out to y'all. Much love, much appreciation. We got this. What? Oh, a girl is in the building. Shout out to you. Make sure y'all go over to her channel and subscribe, right? She got some dope, peaceful content over there that she talks about healing in relationships, healing after relationships, or if I'm correct me if I'm wrong, even when you're in a marriage, which y'all know I'm the marriage guy. So I love content that speaks about marriage. Shout out to our girl Mel as well. Mel is a part of the team too. She's been going hard. Every shoot, Mel is there. Lately, she's been like pushing through, staying up with us hours. So shout out to you, Mel. Shout out to you, Mel. That's right. Make sure y'all go and check her out. She says, yes, healing for breakups and when a relationship ends. So make sure y'all go over there and subscribe. Subscribe to That's So Scary podcast as well. All right, y'all. I don't want to go crazy with a long intro. I just want to say salute and shout out to everybody that's in the building. I'm happy that y'all are here. I'm ready to have a good show with y'all. I'm going to do something a little different today. Usually I do the main topic at the end, but I wanted to start with the main topic and then we could go on from there. So let's get into the show.
You men, I'm just confused at why you men are sitting if you're so unhappy.
It's our job.
Tell you, I can tell you why.
Yeah.
No, it's our job.
Hold on, Fatty.
No, absolutely. No, because I answered you, and you asked the same question. It's our job.
I don't agree with you with that being your job.
I'll pass it to Jay.
So for those of y'all that are pocket watching, right? What we're listening to right now might sound like a bunch of noise, but the question the young lady asked, she wanted to know why do men stay in unhappy marriages, right? So let's continue with the video.
A few things to add. So one, I think with the mindset of like, why are you staying if you're not happy? I think that's something you have to die to before you become a wife, because it's the role of being a wife to be there even if you're unhappy just for a man. And they've learned that because they have different consequences in society. If a man goes out, I mean, most of the time, everyone's not only going to blame them for the reason why the marriage failed, even if it was fully the woman. She went and slept with another man. I watched this with my own eyes, where I was mainly the cause due to my emotions. I wasn't a cheater, but I was the cause with my emotions, and everybody blamed my husband. So I've watched with the physical, like, men have the consequences. That's why they stay. Women, we leave, all the women come together and say, we're just so happy that you're happy. You know, even if a woman cheats, like, well, he wasn't doing his job anyways. And so we get coddled with our emotions. So men stay because they know that there's consequences to it. And
I'm gonna pause a lot, so pardon me on this one because I have a lot of commentary for this, right? What she's speaking right now is absolute facts, right? Men have to think twice before we almost make any move in life. We don't get coddled for decisions, even if it's not our fault. So even if at the end of a marriage, at the end of that road, if the marriage happens to end because whatever the reason, whether you financially had issues, whether it was infidelity, whether it was you not being happy, she not being happy, no matter what it is, no matter how we break it down, men usually have to think 6 or 7 times before we choose to walk away. The world is not easy because the consequences is one, we got to talk about child support. We got to talk about alimony if you were married a certain amount of years, depending on what state you live in. We got to talk about just the shame of it, right? Usually it ends and it could be like she said, your wife cheated on you and you left, and it'll probably be blamed on you. The likelihood is it will be, what did you do wrong? What were you missing? You as a man, what were you lacking? Was the sex not good enough? You see, those are things that men have to think about before we walk out of relationships. I've had the pleasure of talking with a lot of men, and a lot of men being in divorce situations. And when I do talk to those men, right, a lot of the men that I talk to say to themselves, like, you know what? I wanted to leave. I was thinking about leaving, but I couldn't. And usually in a lot of those cases, the wife ended up filing for divorce, even though the man wanted to leave, right? Even though the man wanted to leave, he still had to think 3 or 4 times before he got out of it. The only time I ever heard a man say I had to is if he's like, yo, I caught my wife cheating. And that's that's usually a man's ultimate level of disrespect, when his wife cheats. But if it's arguing, fussing, fighting, complaining, if it's nagging, if it's all of that other stuff that's going on, usually the man tends to say, you know what, it's not worth it. I'd rather stay in this marriage, be unhappy, because I have a duty to her, to God, and also I don't want to be shamed. So we got to think twice, right? You know, that's a good question. Yes, I agree. That is a good question. You know, why is it always assumed the man did something wrong? And I would have to ask society that. Naturally, I think when we start looking at divorce, you know, and you go back into before divorce laws came to be what it is, where there was no such thing as no fault divorce. You couldn't just leave. That wasn't really an option, right? You had to have a justifiable reason to break up your family. But naturally, the world caters. It's more pampered to women. So when a man leaves, it has to be your fault. I mean, when you think about cheating, if somebody says there was infidelity in the relationship, who's the first person you think come to mind that actually committed the act of infidelity? Come on, y'all can answer that. Type 1 for men, 2 for women, right? Think about it. The first person you would think, what's the first gender that you would think comes to cheating when it comes to mind? The man. It just naturally comes to you. Even if he was the most faithful man in the world, it doesn't matter. It just naturally comes to your mind. He had to do something wrong. So that's what the problem is. So when men look at when it comes to divorce, we have to factor shame on top of family court laws. So it makes us think twice about walking out, even when we're not happy, even when it's time to go, even when you're like, she wildin'. Every day I come home and she on me about something. I got to sit in my car for 3 hours before I even walk out the car just to have my own peace of mind. Because think about it. When you got to go to work all day, you fight in the world, right? When you're done fighting at work, you don't want to come home and do that. Most of us got to fight through traffic just to get home. Now you come home and what's your only peace? You can't even sit in your bathroom anymore. The only place you got that's peace is if you park down the block or if you sit in your driveway and hopefully she don't come outside and saw you. Now, I got some peace, quiet. I don't have to go into this yelling house. I don't have to sit in this contentious home, right? What's that verse in the Bible, y'all? Where it's better to, what is it, y'all? It's better to sit on the side of your roof or something like that than be in a house with a contentious woman, right? So naturally, when it comes down to these things, a lot of that men have to factor in. So it's like, man, I'm not happy, but I have to stay because I have to deal with shame if I left this marriage. So let's keep
actually,
going.
women do need to be held accountable, and we don't have shame anymore. We don't. Feminism did a great job at so that we don't feel any type of guilt, any type of shame for the consequences, and that's why
we're boom. Another thing. Sorry, I'm pausing it a lot, but another thing right there, right? Think about how many divorce parties you hear about nowadays. Women are leaving their marriages and throwing parties. Men, we can't do that. So that's why I like this conversation they were having in particular, because these are things that we can't think about doing. We can't throw a divorce party for getting a divorce. We would be shamed for that. How dare you celebrate the end of a marriage? Meanwhile, listen, I'm with my wife now. We've been together for 15 years. But prior to that, I was married and divorced. When I got a divorce, for me, it felt like my divorce for me felt like the end of, even though it was something that I wanted as well, it still hit me hard, right? It was like almost like a grieving period I had to go through, because there was a child involved with it. So it wasn't nothing to be celebrated because I understood statistics and understanding that, a child is statistically at a disadvantage in a broken home. So those are things that I weighed out. Those are things that you got to think about. So even though, back then I was a lot younger, I was way more liberal than I am right now. So I had the mindset of I'm not happy, right? But I didn't file for divorce. But best believe I wanted a divorce, right? So wanting it and it being granted to me, it hurt. It wasn't nothing to be celebrated. I didn't want to throw a party. I didn't want to go to my, get all my boys together and go hit up a strip club. Like, that wasn't something that was in my mind. I was like, yo, this sucks. Every time I went to go pick up my son, I felt it in my core. So these are things that, man, but she's 100% right.
Leaving. That's why I think we're leaving. And the second thing I wanted to add was that, so in the very beginning of our marriage, I did try to leave my marriage. I sat down, I was in a group of people that had borderline personality disorder. That's why these people were leaving the relationship, and it was all women. There was one man with borderline personality disorder. The psychologist said women are getting diagnosed with BPD far more than men are, twice more than men are, which what BPD really is you can't regulate your emotions. So women are leaving due to they can't handle stress, they can't handle negative emotions. When they feel negative emotions, they think the most extreme. I'm going to just leave my situation. I'm not.
And what she said right there, you know, of course there's levels to it, right? It's always a spectrum to everything, right? There's people that handle things on the high end of the spectrum, people that handle things in the middle and at the low end of the spectrum. So we understand that, right? So, but what I would like for men to understand is this. On average, women are going to be more emotional than you. And I think that's something that men need to learn how to accept in reality, right? If you're more of a logical thinker, expect that you're dealing with a woman that's emotional. So when she's moving funny with you, right? When things are happening and you don't understand, and you might have to prove different things in your marriage, meaning like I might have to prove to you I'm not around enough, I'm not cheating on you, or I am where I say I am. That's the spectrum that a lot of us have to deal with. And I always tell men, listen, look, understand that about women and deal with them accordingly. You don't have to lose yourself to be in a marriage with somebody. And I think sometimes some men tend to lose themselves because they had this masculine frame before their marriage. But in order to please the woman that they're with, they tend to not understand them well enough to where they lose themselves trying to prove something, if that makes sense. And I always tell men, don't lose yourself. Try your best to help your wife come to some type of understanding through her emotions, and understand that she's only speaking through her emotions. And I think that helps a lot of marriages. When women understand men being masculine and also logical thinkers, and you understand that women being feminine and also emotional thinkers for the most part. Not saying that all women are all emotional and they don't think logical. I don't want the not all police to come after me. So let's keep going.
Happy. It feels terrible, feels horrible. Men are built better at handling negative emotions. I've watched it from my husband. I mean, I could come at him and say the most nastiest thing when I was younger, and he could handle it. He wouldn't call me the B word. He wouldn't lash back out. He can take it. But if God forbid he did that to me, I mean, it's World War III. I'm going to divorce you, right? You also see that women be putting their hands on men all the time. And that's also, I talked to a cop. He's been in the field for, 30 years? He said there is far more cases that aren't talked about where women are throwing their hands on these men, drawing blood, everything. Some of these women can really fight, especially if you a black woman or Hispanics, they be having knives. That's what he told me. These men aren't even calling the police, but a woman's almost always going to call.
I just watched the case the other day, and a woman called the police on this guy. The guy, he didn't put his hands on her at all. But everything that she was telling the police, that she ended up messing up her own story. She was like contradicting herself like crazy. You could tell she was just trying to get him locked up. So by the time the police went to investigate him, he was like, yo, and he had the busted lip. She admitted to hitting him after he, quote unquote, hit her. But he had the busted lip. So the cop went and was like, yeah, she kind of said something domestic happened. What happened? So then he was like, yo, she didn't hit me. He was like, so the cop was like, I could physically see a busted lip. Like, she hit you. What are you talking about? And he denied it about 3 times before he came. They was like, yo, listen, if you don't tell us the truth, we're going to have to take her word. Even though we know she's lying, just the fact that you're not going to say she did something to you, we're going to take her word and you're going to jail. And because they said that, he ended up telling the truth, which in return ended up putting her in handcuffs. But the problem is that a lot of men go through this type of, domestic situations with their spouses. Unfortunately, men don't say anything. Women do. And I'm not saying, yes, ladies, if a man puts his hands on you, you need to handle that the right way. Handle it accordingly. Call the cops, right? But also in return, make sure you keep your hand off your man as well. It shouldn't be mutual combat. And then all of a sudden he goes to jail. Doesn't make any sense. But anyways, let's keep going.
The police, but a man can take the punches and the hits.
So basically what Fatty and all the men were describing is duty. And Jada did a really good job in describing it as where men are going to be blamed regardless. Men have not duty just only to relationships with their wives, but in life. It's your duty as a man to provide, protect. It's your duty as a man to be successful. It's your duty as a man to work hard. Men are held to a higher standard to do the right thing, or at least be somewhere, on a positive trajectory. If a woman is poor, destitute, to make all the fucking horrible decisions, this is why welfare is for women, right? 90% of welfare goes to women. Why? Because women can make mistakes. Women can make poor decisions, and you're supposed to have a safety net for women. Men are not the same thing. That's why men have a much higher homeless rate than women do, because society doesn't look at men the same as they look at women.
Why are you men?
So even with that being said, what he just said was 100% facts, right? You look at statistics, men have a higher self-deletion rate than their counterparts in women. Men also obviously go to prison at a higher rate, and we serve longer sentences for the same crime, right? So if you do the crime, I do the same exact crime, men tend to serve longer prison sentences than the women that did the same crime, right? Look at the court system. You could be a fit father, but you got to fight for your kids, even though the mother might not be the best. So there's a lot that men got to think about in this world. And sometimes, I like to talk to the men because I'm definitely a male advocate when it comes down to making sure men are on their game, on their P's and Q's, and that y'all are moving the right way. I'm not perfect by any means, right? I make my mistakes, but I try my best to think about everything that I do before I do it. That's why I'm like, you know what? Why play that game of having 4 or 5 women? I might as well be a husband, right? Because playing that game could be a dangerous game for a lot of men, believe it or not. I don't care how you try to shake it. Imagine 2 or 3 women pregnant at the same time. Fellas, is that not a problem? That's a whole problem, right? Imagine having to go through the bickering and back and forth banter because this one's mad at you because you didn't do this. That one's mad at you because you didn't do that. It's a whole problem. So for me, the safest route was find one woman, lock down, get married, spend the rest of your life. You know what I'm saying? So that's why I did what I did. Plus many other reasons, right? But I didn't want to be that guy that's playing all of these games out there in them streets, and it's dumb. And in a lot of situations, men lose their lives gambling, playing around with too many women. So I always tell men, you protect yourself first. This way, you'll learn how to protect the family when it comes to it. You'll learn how to protect the wife because you understand the true meaning of masculinity and protection as a man. All right? So I don't want to get too crazy on this because I could go on with this one for days. Y'all know me. But definitely, I believe we're better together than apart. I believe that, a lot of what people do, we call mistakes, but I don't really agree with that. I agree with you just not knowing better, but it's not a mistake because you did what you wanted to do at the moment. So take accountability for it, learn from it, and grow. And that's the only way we move forward. But But like I said, y'all know me. I could go on with this for days. All right, y'all, I got another one for y'all. Let's keep going.
Wife before the mother of your kids has to be the absolute lowest thing a man could ever do. How can you put a woman who can just become a nobody to you by signing a piece of paper over a woman who's attached to you for the rest of your life?
What? Bro, what are you talking about, man?
The value of a baby mother is so much higher than a wife. And it's crazy that men don't understand that. And it's sad that a woman has to tell y'all how to be good men. And the fact that some of y'all might disagree with me on this one just proves that we are all failing as a society.
Stop the cap.
It's really selfish to think that you're going to be put before a woman who bared a man's child. Y'all wives really need to know y'all place, and being number one is not it. I'm tired of y'all thinking that y'all come before the BMs. We were here before and we're going to be here after. And
let me ask y'all a question. Right? Stop that. Foolishness right there. There's a direct order. Do me a favor. Yo, Shay said, where do I find these videos? They all over the internet. Yo, the easiest thing you could find is people on the internet wilding, saying whatever. Easy. All I got to do is just turn on IG. That's it. I don't even got to search. Or TikTok. I don't even really got to search for nothing. I just need to scroll. And I'm like flabbergasted every time I'm in it. Like, this is crazy. You know why it's probably not on your feed? Because I'm a content creator, so I look for a whole bunch of stuff. So maybe that's in my algorithm. But or maybe you just ignore it. That's probably what it is. It's probably right in your face, and you're like, you know what? I don't know who this is. Scroll. Or the moment they start saying something stupid, scroll. But yeah, and not to mention a lot of people send me content as well. So, you know, your flabbers have been gasted. Yo, listen. There's an order to life, right? I believe so, right? I believe that, you know, it's always got to be God first. And that this is my direct order, right? I know some people don't believe in a higher power, which is crazy to me. But I'm not knocking however you believe in or whatever you believe. But I do believe that, you know, in some sense, you're supposed to think that something is bigger than you. Or those that don't usually hold signs of, you know, put like this. And I don't label people. I'm not a psychiatrist by any means, you know, but I know people that don't believe in anything bigger than themselves tend to be, they tend to show a lot of signs. I'm going to say that of narcissism. Right? Because you don't think anything is bigger than you. But me, I believe in God. Right? Then I believe that the direct order of a man in a family is he is under God. Right? So it's God, you, then you have your wife, and your wife's supposed to follow you because you submit to God. Right? So after knowing that you submit to God, that's the only reason why your wife follows you, because she understands that you believe that there's something bigger than yourself. Then after that follows the children. The children then follows the wife, and then they all listen to the husband. And all because he's submitting to something higher than him. But notice the word that I'm saying, wife. I'm not saying baby mama. Listen, you could plant a seed in any woman. It doesn't put her above anything. It means your kids get that honor and respect, but your wife goes above that, because if there's a direct order, then you would know that it's God, you, your wife, your kids. It doesn't matter where those kids came from. But here's the problem. When we keep creating, and I'm not saying me any different, us as people, when we keep creating these broken homes, right? The houses that the children are not with you, what that causes is so much chaos. it causes so much confusion. This should not be the average baby mama walking around where that's more common than a wife. You ask me, I don't know, maybe I'm tripping. Y'all let me know if I'm bugging. But there should not be no such thing as the norm is a baby mom, a wife is secondary, because that's just how we're used to seeing it. We see less and less marriages every year according to statistics, especially in the Black community. Especially in the Black community. So we're so off balance right now that this woman could make a TikTok or whatever this is saying that. And guess what? There's a lot of people, believe it or not, that believe what she's saying is right. Because just the same as we spoke about a few weeks ago when we talked about the woman that's like, yo, I'd rather, when she say, she was like, I'd rather sleep with you before I cook you a meal, because her mindset was, if basically I'm not giving you wife privileges for a man that I'm sleeping with. That is the dumbest thing I've ever heard, but she said it. And unfortunately, I hear it all the time in real time. There's a lot of people that I hear saying stuff like that. Yo, I'm not going to, what do I look like cooking and cleaning for him? Why would I go by his house and actually clean up after him? No, but you're going by his house and sleeping with him. You're giving him your body. What's more important? See this confusion that's happening? This is why women like this could even think of something like this to say, because a wife is non-existent anymore. How do we get back to husband-wife? How do we get back to man-woman and get away from baby mama, baby daddy? How do we do that? Right? I'm trying my best to play my part. I created a whole dating show dedicated to trying to get people together. But how do we get back to that? Where baby moms is almost the not norm, because back in the 1940s, I'm sorry, we were married at an 80% clip. At an 80% clip. Now we bit the apple and look at where we are right now. Right? Yeah. She said, to me, it starts with what we value. And I think that value should be yourself. But that's a fine line, right? I like that conversation. That's a fine line. When we talk about value, right? We talk about valuing yourself. What I'm starting to realize is creating monsters. People are starting to put themselves above family. When you put yourself above family, you put yourself above God's will, God's word. Right? So valuing yourself could, for some people, be confusing if it's not taught right, because you tend to think that, you know what? I deserve the world because I'm valuable, right? Other than looking at it like humble. I'm valuable, so I respect myself not to give a man my body that's not my husband. Or I respect myself not to show somebody that they're not valuable to me. And if they're not valuable to me, I'm not even going to be around them. That's something that I learned a long time ago. If I don't respect you, if I don't value you, you can't be in my circle. That's it. That's all. There's no talking around that. So how do we get back to that? And you know what I'm saying? I see. It says people ask why I don't have children at 47. The reason, I was never married. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that. But I'm quite sure you've been shamed by people, but you actually, however you did it, was your prerogative. I don't even want to get into it. But the whole point of it, though, is when doing that, right? What you're doing is you're not bringing a child into a broken home because you value marriage over yourself. So whether you could get along or deal with a man or find the right man for you that could fit into your narrative and you fit into his, it don't make sense to bringing children into this world. So it's sad that I know for a fact that people probably shamed you for not doing that. You know what I'm saying? It's crazy. Do me a favor, if you are watching on IG, come over to YouTube. That's where the money is at. Shout out to that. You know what I'm saying? My man DP says Jesus and our community needs to place value on marriage again. So true. So true. Shay says, people are confused. Valuing yourself is not putting yourself above others. So true. You see, I love my chat. I love my people. You know what I'm saying? And shout out to the legacy maker. Candace is in the building. Do me a favor. Candace wrote a book. I dropped the link for her book inside of my description. So click on the link. Make sure you get yourself a copy of her book and then come back and give us feedback. Candace is on the Sunday shows. So come back on Sunday and give her your feedback. But please do me a favor and go cop a copy of her book. Shout out to you, the legacy maker. All right, y'all. Let's continue. So I got another one for you, right? We just gonna keep it moving. We gonna keep it moving. All right, y'all. This one, I low-key agree and disagree at the same time with this young lady. So I'm gonna play it and then we're gonna talk about it.
Have been angry and bitter at Black women for so long, all right? And I have a whole historical trope about this. Okay, so I told y'all I was gonna come on here and talk about Black men's dislike, discontent, disdain for Black women and why they are flat out mad at us. Now, you're probably like, well, what makes you qualified to talk about this? Well, I have studied Black people and the Black diaspora with all of my college dollars, and I also have a master's degree from one of the top radio, television, and film schools in this country that I went to on scholarship. Let's move on, babes. Now, the short answer to this is that Black men became economically irrelevant to Black women, which eventually led to the rebellion of the leadership of the Black man. Now for the longer answer. So statistics tell us that Black women have some of the lowest rates of marriage. However, it was not always that way. Even if you go back into slavery times, Black people were sneaking off to get married. And even up into the early 1900s, Black women had higher rates of marriage over their clear counterparts before the social engineering of the welfare state. And you're probably like, well, what is the social engineering of the welfare state? Well, prior to the social engineering of the welfare state, Black people had 78% dual household, mother and father in the house, and these two people were married. 78%.
Which is wild. Which is wild, right? That is such a beautiful thing to know that that's what we chose. We chose each other. You know what I'm saying? So I agree with her so far on everything she's saying, right? If y'all never seen the movie Claudine, please do me a favor and do yourself a favor. If you want to understand parts of why our community is the way it is, through poverty, through people being poor, all that good stuff, on why we are separate, do me a favor and watch Claudine. Now, what I hate to do, though, is hold it on what we went through for the reason why we are how we are, because at this point, we had decades of being able to fix this. But let's continue.
Under the social engineering of the welfare state, i.e. aid, welfare, subsidized programs for housing and things of that nature, the government required that a male could not be living in the house in order for that family to receive aid or public assistance. And this just wasn't written in fine print. There were actual pop-up audits, like a Section 8 inspection that we have currently to this day, that the government inspectors would come out and look for traces of a male in the house. And if they found any shoes, any shirts or clothes or anything like that, you were cut off from that.
And I can tell you this, that happened in New York when I was young. And I remember being in a woman's apartment. She lived in the projects. Don't knock me, y'all. Don't judge me. right? And I remember literally there was an inspection coming through, and they did a pop-up. So they locked on the people knocked on the door, and she peeped through. That woman told me to get into the closet. She told me I had to hide in the closet. They hid everything, any trace of a man. And we're talking about when I was young. I was a teenager. We're not even talking about 40 years ago, right? I'm 43 years old. So we're not even talking, we're talking about in my lifetime as a teenager where men still had to do that. And this was the New York system. If you wanted to live in the projects, you had to apply by their rules. And they made sure that if you're going to continue to get government assistance, a man wasn't there. It didn't even matter if the man made, $5 an hour at his job back then. He barely could make any money to survive himself. The point of the matter is just the fact that a man was there, you could lose your assistance. So of course that forced women to say to themselves, no man in the house. Because, hey, I couldn't afford to upkeep the house, right? Let's just say it was my situation. I couldn't afford to upkeep the house. The woman couldn't afford to upkeep the house. So who's going to do it? The daddy government steps in. So let's continue.
Public assistance. If you need proof of this, watch the movie Claudine.
She's gonna be social worker.
There you go.
They just keep on saying.
This is right simultaneously in alignment with Nixon's war on drugs, which took the U.S. prison system from 300,000 people incarcerated to 2.3 million people incarcerated, and 2/3 of those people were people of color. So there you have black men being removed from the home. Then you have the war on drugs, which is disproportionately incarcerating black males in particular. And now what do black women have to do? Make it work and figure it out. Then that births a generation of struggling mothers teaching their daughters to go to school, get a degree, and don't depend on a man for nothing. Like and follow for part 2, where we will talk about the black male athlete, the birth of the hip hop generation, the oversexualization of black women, and how we went from this to that.
Now that's where I got a problem at. But I'm going to continue with this, right? She has another thing that she came up with that she has out, I should say. She's actually doing a 10-part series. Now, I just found out who this woman was today. But she got hundreds of thousands, almost like 1 million people following her. So I'm quite sure a lot of y'all probably know who she is. But I just found out about this woman today. But there's a part of it that I'm like, this is the narrative that I hate that they put on black men. But let's continue.
For part 2, where we will talk about the black male athlete, the birth of the hip hop generation, the oversexualization of black women, and how we went from this to that. Okay, y'all, so we left off on the war on drugs and the mass incarceration of black men and people of color. This led to a societal plummet for black men over the next 20 to 30 years, which eventually became a generational pattern, right, for black men. Now, simultaneously, you got black women balling out. You got black women, okay, embarrassing black men in front of company. And
so hold up, pause. You see, this is where I have an issue with. This is where I have an issue with. A lot of people, and I get it. If you look at what's in front of you, it seems as if that's the norm, right? So if you're looking at what's happening right now in front of you, you're like, okay, look, black women are winning. The overwhelming majority of black women are winning. But in reality, that's not the truth. Look, I always urge people, don't take my word for nothing. Look at statistics, and that will tell you what the overwhelming majority of our people, black women and black men, are going through and in mass. Black women, what she is doing right now, I don't like. What she's doing is trying to say that black women are doing better financially, out-degreeing us. Every race of woman out-degrees their man. Every race of woman has more degrees than their man. And this is what causes this divide. This is the only reason why I'm talking about this. Because when you have people like that saying things like that, right? It makes you feel like, oh, well, the black men need to step their game up. We need to step our game up collectively. We start throwing out stats of the eviction rate. Our sisters, and I say our sisters because that's my counterpart, our sisters are the highest evicted of any other race of woman. Our sisters statistically make less money than any other group of people. Our sisters buy homes and have one of the highest foreclosed rates of any other group of people. Why is that? The main reason why that's happening is because we're not together. Black man, black woman, it's hard for us to do this by ourselves. It's hard. Men don't struggle at that statistic as much. And the main reason why is because, yeah, on average, a lot of black men that do work very hard. So we're not out there buying homes, but we don't necessarily see a point in buying a home if you don't have a family. So I'm not going to buy a home for what? To put more debt? No, I'd rather have an apartment somewhere. And then usually when a black man goes and buy a home is when he finds a wife. So that's why we don't put ourselves in that type of debt, because home ownership, logically speaking, is very, very expensive. This is not like back in the day where you go and bought a house for $150,000. You had the cheapest mortgage payment. Your mortgage was what? Back in the day, people was paying like $800 a month. Imagine if your mortgage was $800 today. How much could you do when you're making even $50,000? You'll still be straight. But no, the average mortgage in the South is running you somewhere around $2,500 to $3,000 a month. So buying a home is no longer a flex. It's definitely not a flex if you can't afford it. And a lot of us can't afford it. So we're out here buying these houses. You know, our women are buying houses, then realizing the upkeep of the house, right? The upkeep of the house is crazy. Just the other day, my HVAC system went. Thank God. I mean, I have insurance on my house. So I have a warranty on my house, I should say. So it covers my HVAC system. It covers all of that. But thank God I make good connections with other men. So my friend, he does HVAC. So he came over and actually fixed my unit without me even having to use my warranty. But imagine something like that, an AC unit breaking in a house for somebody that stops paying on their warranty can run you easily anywhere from $3,000 to $10,000 just to fix your HVAC system or replace it. So yeah, like buying a house is not a flex. Yard keeping, expensive if you don't want to get out there and do the work yourself, right? We're talking about any little minor fix, minor breakdown. Your washing machine breaks down. You get a leak, a water leak in your house. One of the sinks, the toilet, the tub gets stopped up. This is expensive. Y'all, I don't care what y'all say, man. Home ownership is expensive, so it's not a flex to say, oh, we got more homes than you. No, it's better to say we bought a home together. You ask me, I don't know. See, I'm a very box thinker, right? Very logical, right? So I try to say, if I put this with this, then that makes sense. That makes sense. It's crazy. And you talk about rent. Rent's ridiculous now everywhere you go. Everywhere you go, rent is ridiculous. And your money's not going up. Y'all are not getting raises like y'all trying to act like y'all are. Every time I turn on Kendra G, everybody making over $150,000 a year. It's stupid. Y'all all lying. Statistically tells me that y'all are all lying. So this is what I'm trying to say. We're better together if we did it. It's not a flex. And this young lady that's making this content right now that we're watching, she's making it sound as if Black women are not choosing Black men because they're just so far ahead of us that they're like, no. The problem is the women that are complaining about not finding a man, usually it is the more educated woman. It's not the majority, right? But it's usually the more educated because hypergamy, right? Usually when a woman makes more money, she tends to want a man that makes either what she makes or more. But then that shortens your dating pool. But let's continue to move.
And literally balling out while they're experiencing their societal plummet. Now, the American dream tells Black men, per their male clear counterparts, that you're going to be successful, you're going to make a lot of money, you're going to go get you a wife, and then you're going to have a family. But here come Black women, okay, embarrassing them, balling out, becoming homeowners, all right?
You see what I'm saying? You see, it started off good, and it just continues to get worse. Black men don't care that you're buying homes. That's not a flex for a driven man. It might be a flex for Pookie and Ray Ray. Yo, 1,000%. Those men want you. They look at you, Mom, you better have a house. You better have a nice car because I need something to drive and I need a bed to lay on every night. So yeah, Pookie and Ray Ray, those dudes, man, they'll all night long, yo, they'll give you the best sex because they're sleeping for a house. Their sex is rent. So they going super hard trying to clap. They try to make sure that they're the last person you remember. Because they need a place to stay. But for a successful man, a man that's driven, a man that thinks to himself, I need to be a provider, he doesn't care if you own homes. What does that do for me? Matter of fact, I'm renting, you're paying for this house, you're paying more money than me. Why would I want to go there and up my ante? I'd rather stay in my apartment. Or I'd rather get a house with you in order for us to be able to afford to live. But this to me, what she's doing here is called shaming. And she's shaming men. I don't like it. I don't like it.
Getting college degrees and Black girl magic all the way around. So now this American dream.
Oh, there we go too. Sorry, I keep stopping it. I know. But Black girl magic all the way around. Another issue is this, right? It's what the media portrays. It's what the media portrays to Black men. It's not all Black women, and I get it, right? It's not all Black women. All Black women are not doing it. They're not all police. Don't come for me, right? Because I'm not saying all. These type of Black women, the women that's talking, she's making it sound like, oh, you know, it's just so lavish, the life that Black women are portraying online. Because I know a lot of Black women that go to lunch, they go to brunch, and they're fighting on who's paying the bill. Or I only had a salad. So a lot of it is capped. But of course, when you open your social media, it looks like, oh snap, these women are out here balling. These women are out here doing so great because they have brunch every other day, not knowing that they done ended a whole friendship because the other friend called them out on being broke and not helping with the bill. Let's be real. I know the ladies in the chat. Y'all know that happens. I know y'all done went out with some of your girls and they looked at y'all crazy sitting at the table. Like, hold up, wait, what? But of course, on Instagram, the men see it and we're like, oh, snap, like, oh, y'all doing it. Doing it. Y'all doing it. But that's the problem. That's the problem. So how do we build without trying to make it look like we're doing better than the other one? I personally don't look at this when I see all of this stuff online and say, oh my God, our Black women are just doing so well. No, I look at statistics and I'm like, oh, 90% of y'all are capping. Because statistically, statistics show that only 8% of women, Black women, make over $100,000 a year. 8%. For Black men, roughly what, 11, 12? Ain't that much of us doing great out here. So what you say, Shay? Shay said, honestly, GMT, most of my girls ball too. Yeah, I mean, listen, that's your circle. I get it. You know what I'm saying? In my circle, Black men are doing just fine as well. It doesn't mean that the rest of the men out there are. So I look at statistics to judge on when we start to have a mass conversation, other than saying, you know, what I go through or what my people are, what I see every day. Because my thoughts and my circle is small in hindsight when the majority of Black people are pretty much on the verge of homelessness, living paycheck to paycheck. Barely ate today, eating ramen noodles using government assistance to make it, feeding their kids Cheetos for lunch. We're not doing great, not in mass. But we would be doing a lot better if we taught each other how to come together. If we taught each other how to meet to damn marry, right? No pun intended. If we taught each other how to meet to marry, other than teaching each other how to meet to have sex, how to meet to hook up, how to meet to be friends, how to meet to meet. You know what I'm saying? We'll be doing a lot better if we really taught each other how to come together, other than saying, let's be apart. Just my opinion. But let's keep going.
Becomes a distant reality, which leads to a lot of shame and guilt for Black men. But what did free Black men was the sports and entertainment industry, right? And this is how we get the stereotype about Black men ain't being nothing but rappers and athletes to this day. So then you got hip hop, you got athletes, and this portray Black women to be hypersexualized. Okay.
Pause. What? The majority of Black men are not athletes. It's only 1% of the Black population, male population, that plays sports, professional sports. The majority of Black men are dreaming about being a rapper, about being an athlete, but the majority of us are not doing it. So call it a stereotype or whatever. It's not real, because the majority of us that do punch a clock every day are the average Black men in society. We're not out here doing all that. We're not out here doing all that. She's saying, she's not saying the majority of Black men are athletes. She's saying that they're dreaming about it. Yeah, we're dreaming about it. But to even put that as a stereotype on Black men is not good, because that's not true. Black men changed their stereotype, right? We changed the narrative of Black men. Think about when you was younger. What was the stereotype of a Black man? It was more gangster, right? It was more, if you walking on this side of the street and you saw 4 Black men, don't walk through them, because you're probably going to get either harassed, jumped, or robbed, right? That changed. The narrative of Black men wearing their pants halfway off their ass, big baggy t-shirts, looking as if they tried to be rappers. That's done. Black men are, on average, carrying themselves with way more class. So the narrative is not that no more. I'll be hanging out with a group. I remember this. I'm gonna give y'all a quick story. I remember living in Massachusetts, and I remember being in front of the DMV. They call it the RMV, the Registry of Motor Vehicles. And I was standing in front of it, and I was talking to it was me, two other black guys, and a Spanish guy. This woman clearly did everything in her power to avoid walking within 20 feet of us. Now, it was a white woman, younger white woman. You could tell the moment she saw us, you could almost feel fear coming from her. And this was years ago, right? I probably was like 22, 23. So mind you, we're talking 20 years ago. So I still remember her. We wasn't even paying her no mind. It was like, yo, I'm not even thinking about you. But she thought so much of us that she crossed the street, walked a few blocks just to come back to end up back on the same side. And everything about it, like when she was walking, she was staring at us, like we were just going to chase her down. She held her pocketbook mad tight. Those narratives about us is done. And it's because black men have changed that. So then we go into the oversexualization of our women. Who's doing that? It's not saying it's the majority of women, but it's what's plastered, right? So just like how you see, I don't even know who that is on the screen. Is that Megan Thee Stallion? I don't know. But just like how you see these type of women, and they get praised by the women that don't even act like that. So it comes across as this is what black women are, this is what they like, this is what they do. So the only person that can really change that stereotype, forget what rappers do, because you don't have to be in the rap video. You don't have to sing about this stuff. You don't have to bump it in your car. You don't have to bump in, shake that ass, let that coochie breathe, bend over chick, hands on your knees, hands on your knees. You don't have to bump that in your car. So if you choose to, unfortunately, we live in a world where people are going to judge you. They're going to judge you. So if you listen to it, if you're twerking to it, if it comes on and you in a restaurant and you be like, that's my shit. People gonna be like, yo, listen, man, she like that kind of shit. She likes what she listens to. You could not even be about that life. But unfortunately, the world judges you for what they see. So if you don't want people to look at you like that, the advice is carry yourself different. Take in different content. But the more this is pushed, the more we push black girl magic, and you're not giving that to the Felicia Rashad's, you're not giving that to the women that have paved the way, and also the women that are trying to have a positive message, because there's a lot of black women, believe it or not, black men, there's a lot of black women that's out here pushing positive messages. I watch some of them content creators myself, right? There's the Crimson Cures, Chantel Simone's. There's a whole slew of them, Reva TV. There's a whole bunch of women that's trying their best to teach femininity. Let's look at the people that I know personally. Let's look at Wife School Podcast. Let's look at April A. Let's look at these women that's married. Let's look at these women that's pushing positive messages. There's a lot of women but why are they not successful? Because sex sells, controversy sells. We know that, but at the same time, let's not act like it's not there. Let's not act like those women are not out there pushing positive messages. The problem is that these women get propped up. So when they push these negative messages, that's all you hear. So yeah, the over-sexualization of our women comes from how our women tend to carry themselves. Think about it. Think about it. Don't blame men for this. Don't blame rappers for this. Because rappers make a choice to be the way they are. Women make the choice to be the way they are. Women in the business. Those are their own individual choices. And I just how where it goes, we get grouped together. I always tell Shay this. I don't live in this world the way I want it to be. I live in the world the way it is. And unfortunately, we're going to get judged for what we do. Should we be doing that? I don't know. But that's just the way it is. So if we cared about our ethnic image, we cared about how we portrayed ourselves, we will denounce bullshit. Unfortunately, we praise it. We make them become millionaires. Sexy Red raps about STDs and we prop her up on a pedestal. It's crazy.
You got them being portrayed as loud, ghetto, aggressive.
No, they're not being portrayed as loud, ghetto, and aggressive. They're actually doing it. You see, this is where this woman with this quote-unquote psych degree got it wrong. Oh, hold up. I don't want to get demonetized. This girl looked like she got a see-through.
So now you got black men when they...
Right. No, they're doing it. Guess what, young ladies? You could have chose the job a career field of being a nurse, a doctor, a CNA, or whatever, to make you whatever type of money. You could have chose the field of, doing something noble, helping your community, being a wife and putting something together with your man, creating your own business with your man. You have more money. But no, if you chose OF, that's you. That's on you. No one's portraying you to be what you're putting out there. You're putting it out there. So it's not being portrayed. It's who you are. And obviously, if the majority, not saying the majority, let me not use that word. If a good amount of women are online doing it, and I can honestly say the majority of women are online doing it. Not just the majority of women, but the women that's online. They're portraying themselves as that. Every time you turn it on, let's not cap, no matter what your algorithm looks like, somebody's twerking. Somebody's twerking. I don't care what y'all say. Somebody's twerking.
Got their money, okay? They finally got their money. And who's responsible for that American dream being pulled away from them? So now, where is it that they want to spend their money?
Bullshit. That's BS right there. Statistically, men that make over $100,000 or more. So we're talking about anywhere from $100,000 to $1 million a year or more. Statistically, athletes, not just ball players, all athletes, 80% are married to Black women. Let's not act as if the average person that's in the industries choose white women. The problem is that's what gets talked about the most. This woman that's creating this content, I'm going to want to believe that she is smart enough to do the proper research. But when you push this type of propaganda, to me, it's what they call clickbait. You're only pushing this type of propaganda, because you want your audience to create controversy between your talking points. You want people in your audience to say, you see, like Kanye West said, when he get on, he leave your ass for a white girl. That's not true. Black men have always loved Black women, and we always will. You look like me. You look just like me. So for me to say, oh, snap, I got money now, let me go run to Becky with the blonde hair, is crazy. On average, black men are not doing that. Y'all only hear that from women like this and saying, yeah, that's what happens on average. Black men, we out here wilding. We just chasing white women. We like to play in the snow. Actually, I think Spiritual Word put something up like that earlier today, and I found that to be so disrespectful. Let me look for it real quick. Let me look for that real quick because it's so not true, the propaganda and the BS that they're putting out there on black men as if that's what we do is get money and chase white. We get money and we go white. When statistically it shows us that black men that get money, where is it at? I'm trying to find it, y'all. I don't know. I saw something where they was like asking the question of, they went and asked white women. I can't find it. But what they ended up doing was they asked white women, they said, who do you, what was the question? The question was to a white woman, could a man with no money take care of a family? And the white woman, take care of a relationship. And the white woman was like, yeah, I believe he can. Then all of a sudden they went to the black women and they started asking the same question. And all the black women was like, hell no, he needs to be da-da-da-da. He needs to be making X, Y, Z. So then all of a sudden they had the basketball players say, this is why I appreciate and love to play in the snow. More and more propaganda because they're not telling the truth. They're not focusing on the actual data. Data says that black men on average, and no matter what sector it goes to, black men on average chooses to marry their own counterpart, their own sisters that look like them. So pushing this, this is where the black man ends up marrying a white man. White women, sorry, pause. I ain't mean to say that. It's crazy. It's wild. So yeah, we're not doing that. We're not doing that on average. On average, black women, we love you. I always say this, we always will. We'll choose you above any other women any other day. Usually what ends up happening is if we can't find a woman to get on our accord, that's when you'll start seeing black men move into other races of women. But on average, we're going to choose you above any other woman any other day. This is how it goes. And it's not just black men. Every race of man does that. The majority of white men are married to white women. The majority of Hispanic men are married to Hispanic women. The majority of Middle Eastern men are married to Middle Eastern women. Every race does that. I'm not saying anything special. So I don't want y'all to feel as if black men are doing anything different. We're not. We're doing what we were, I believe, programmed to do. You look at your skin, I look at her skin. Damn, I love that melanin. I want that. That's how it goes. And it'll always be that way. You know what I'm saying? Always be that way. If you're watching on IG, do me a favor. Come over to YouTube and hang out with your boy over here. All right, y'all. I got another one for y'all, right? Hold on. This is crazy. So check this out, right? There's no words, just a birthday cake, right? Simple birthday cake. And for those of y'all that see the words on the birthday cake is what the problem is. You got what looks like a young lady, and it's her birthday, right? And it says, the best punani ever. All right? So I want to imagine that her man bought her this cake. But that's not really the biggest problem. Whatever, right? You bought the cake. He bought the cake. whatever. Cool. The problem is this. Boom. So I'm going to read it for those of y'all that can't see it or who are pocket watching. So the young lady had her father at the party, and then he chose to leave. So this is what ended up happening. So the daughter starts with a message saying, I wanted to wait till after everyone left to ask, why did you get mad and leave? He says, the daughter says, it was a gathering for my birthday and it hurt my feelings to see you just up and leave, right? So I believe it's Shayna, right? Shayna ends up saying, she said, the father ended up saying, Shayna, that shit was highly disrespectful. The cake, I mean. He says, your mother and I were there, and that cake, that's the cake your friend decided to pick. He said, that was very disrespectful. You're still my little girl at the end of the day. Yo, World Class, what up, my guy? Do me a favor, y'all. Go over to World Class channel and subscribe. I know I'm saying it wrong. What is it, Cheyenne? I don't know. Whatever. We just gonna call her the daughter, right? So I'll be pronouncing names wrong, and I don't like that. But do me a favor, y'all. Go over there and subscribe to my God World Class. What up, family? So China, pronounced China. Okay, China. Let's do that. All right, there we go. I'm messing it all up. All right. So now the daughter ends up saying, it wasn't that deep. She said, I just feel like you're being dramatic as always. It's obvious you don't like him, right? That's what the daughter says. China says to the father, right? So the father ends up replying. He says, it's not about, sorry, I don't have my glasses on. It's not about not liking someone, China. He says, it's about decent damn respect. You think your father wants to eat a birthday cake that shows how good his daughter's private parts is? No, hell no. Disrespectful, right? So the daughter ends up saying, I still don't understand why you're mad. It was a joke, but okay, I'm 27, not a child. So China ends up saying, the father ends up saying, it's not about respect, China. Look, we'll talk about this tomorrow. And then China ends up saying, there's nothing left to talk about. Peace. This is where it becomes disrespectful, right? Imagine, fellas, women, and I can say this to women as well. Imagine your daughter. You go over to her house and a man bought her a cake saying that. First of all, I don't know, but me and that guy, we probably would have had to square up. Like, you knew I was coming. And this is what you chose to do? You chose to get a cake that says that my daughter has the best coochie ever? We got to fight, son. We got to fight. And even if I don't fight, my daughter will never, ever have my blessings to marry that man. I can't even see me accepting that man in the family. But here's the thing. Men that would do something like that obviously doesn't really care about you as a woman. The problem is these type of women don't understand what to look for in the right type of man. So they'll accept something like this and think it's cute. Oh, he's just being funny. He's just being funny. He's so funny. No, you just a sex bag for the dude. At the end of the day, you just a sex bag. That's it. For him to get you a cake like that, knowing your mother and father is going to be over there, he ain't got no respect for you. And then you, young lady, obviously got to be disrespectful as well, because for you to even open that cake, even if a man bought you that cake should have stayed in your refrigerator. And you and him should have been the only one eating that cake. But nah, you feel as if that's something you could just bring out Hey, he said I got the best coochie ever. That's crazy. That's crazy. And this is why I say it's all about the vetting process, because the likelihood is that man is going to play this woman clean the moment he gets the next best coochie ever. Any coochie he get after that is going to be the best coochie. I guarantee it. I guarantee it. And he going to play her clean. Probably even before he do that, he going to put a baby in her because he don't have respect enough. So obviously he don't care. He'll put a baby in her, leave. Then she going to turn around and blame all men for not being shit. When look at the type of man you got. And the only man that loves you truly is your father. And you'll turn around and disrespect him and tell him there's nothing else for y'all to talk about. Like Shay said here, Jesus, fix it, please. Because what in the world is going on? What in the world is going on? Help me understand. All right, y'all. Crazy story. I got one more for ya. Let's get active.
No, I don't give a fuck. It is what it is.
What baby?
Let's see.
Stop, it's not funny. Stop
No,
laughing,
it's
bro.
fine. You can't
She's not an adult. You laughing. This is crazy. This is she's only
kill my
2.
child.
If you want, listen.
Well,
If
that's
you
a
want to
whole
have a
other
kid
topic.
at
Then you
16
should've had
and
two
ruin your life while you're still in school,
She's not ruining it.
are you in a comfortable position with the father? It's
I
gonna fall.
raised 5 kids by myself. 5 kids.
She said that like it was something to be proud of. I raised 5 kids by myself. Sometimes I'll be thinking this all be skits. Like, I don't know what to believe, y'all. Because there's no way that the human brain could fathom that this is okay. But unfortunately, people are truly living this life. So I'm like, yo, this got to be a skit. It's got to be a skit. No, Shay. Shay, stay right there. Yo, Queen Lala is in the building. What up, what up, what up? This is what I'm saying. It's crazy.
By myself.
5 kids by myself. If I have them, then what do I need him for?
Hey, you know what?
Exactly.
Yo, hold on. She said, if I have the... So this is sad, right? And this is why I try to say, fathers, stay in your daughter's life. And I know it seems as if this fella stayed in his daughter's life. And unfortunately, this is the turnout. But there's a thing of masculinity that I believe masculinity has to be learned. I don't believe it's naturally in every man. I believe that men have traits of masculinity, right? Where there's some parts of us that as a man, we all know and we can just look at each other and say, oh, that's another man. But when I say it has to be learned, I'm saying that to say that just because you got a pair of freaking nuts doesn't necessarily mean you're a man. So yeah, you could birth a child, but not understand what it is to have control of that household. Now, I wanted to point out more than just what's happening with the young lady. I wanted to point out what's happening between the husband and the wife, or whatever they are to each other. Boyfriend, girlfriend, husband, wife, whatever they are to each other. The fact that the mother is so on the opposite end of what the man is saying, they shouldn't even be together. They shouldn't even be together. Obviously, she doesn't respect your male masculinity, your male leadership. You know what I'm saying? Oh, there you go. Skinny. Yo, Shay was asking for you earlier, man. She said you was late. So as soon as she came in the door, she was like, yo, where's Skinny at? I was like, yo, man, you know Skinny coming, but Skinny gonna be late today. So, there she go. She said, Skinny, I was on time today. Please note it. But that's what I'm saying. Like you look at the you look at him as a man and you start realizing that he's weak. It doesn't seem like anyone in that house respects him. Not one person. From every child in that house to that woman that's across from him, to the woman that's sitting next to him, talking about, I'll raise 5 kids on my own. This little girl looks like a baby. She's 16. She is technically a child. And you're telling me that y'all, but unfortunately it happens so much, right? Where she gets pregnant and instead of the mother and father dragging her to handle that, let's just use those words, they'll be like, okay, it's cool. The only one that feels like something's wrong with this is the man. That makes no sense. That makes no sense. So how do we work on this, right? I would say a situation like this. I'm not the advocate for divorce, so I don't know if they're married or not, but he's gonna have to learn how to become more masculine in that household and demand more respect because it should be his word. And if he says that something needs to happen and our daughter needs to handle this, the wife should be on board. And the only time she should be disagreeing with him is not in front of your kids. It should be in private. When it's just you and him, that's when you go, hey, maybe we're overdoing it. And then y'all have a conversation, no matter how heated it gets. But don't have this conversation in front of your kid because she's looking at you now like you weak. This is why a lot of women don't respect men, because they saw how their mothers and fathers treated each other. They saw the father submit to the mother. They saw the mother arguing and saying, this is going to go my way in front of the kids. That's where the problem is. Some men y'all shouldn't be fathers if y'all can't maintain a house. If you can't get your wife on board, if you can't get your wife to look at you as the head, it doesn't mean your wife can't disagree with you. If she disagree with you, it should be in private. It should be in private. It should not be in front of your daughter where you're like, oh, something as big as the teen pregnancy, you're going to be like, oh, well, let her do what she want to do. It's her life. My wife disagree with me. Sometimes we'll go through something with our son and my wife will disagree with me, but she will never do it in front of him. She'll listen to me while I'm talking to him. She'll hold it in. And then at nighttime, when he's sleeping, me and her in the room together, she'll bring it back up. Hey, what you said to our son earlier, it just kind of made me think like, we should have said it like this. And then I consider it, but never in front of him. And fellas, if you're with a woman right now and she's disagreeable in front of your kids, get control of it. Get control of it in a healthy manner, but get control of it. Because if you don't, then when this happens, you have no say-so. The daughter is going to follow her mother's lead if her father is not strong enough. It's just going to happen. It's just going to happen. You know what I'm saying? But anyways, this is a great show. I enjoyed this. I felt like I'm looking at the chat. Y'all having good conversations up in there. This was dope. Let me go handle some business today. Meet to Marry, Season 2, Episode 4 drops tomorrow. And all channel members, do me a favor. Oh, Shay, before Shay get on me, right? Before Shay gets on me, let me make sure I play this for y'all real quick. Because Shay don't play. Hold up. Let me make sure I play this for y'all. All right. Go to Minds. Let me make sure I play this for y'all. Here we go. All right, y'all. All right, y'all. Hold up. My guy, Amir, with the 99, let's call it $1 sticker. Shout out to, your first time dropping in the channel, dropping some bread. I greatly appreciate you, brother. Greatly appreciate you. All right. So, where we at? Where is it at? There's so much tabs open. It's crazy. All right. Let's share my screen and let's make sure I play this before Shay get on me. All right, y'all. Here we go. Come on, YouTube. Jesus Christ, what's going on with this? All right, y'all. Obviously, the internet is acting up. Let's see if I can share this again. My internet is acting all. All right, here we go. Now it's playing. Let me get this back up for y'all. I got y'all. I promise. My people. You know what I'm saying? It's not Spectrum, man. Let's leave Spectrum out of this. All right, here we go. Pete, Bo, we are here to have an awesome giveaway for one of my lucky channel members. And in order to win one of these lucky bad boys, yes, that's right, Apple AirPods Max. In order for you to win that, you have to, one, make sure you are subscribed, of course. You have to make sure you are a channel member. Then what I need you to do is share the content on your Instagram story. Hashtag #MeToMarry at Mingo365. That way I know it's you. The more you do it, the more times you share, the more we'll tally it up, the more we would know that you stand that lucky chance of being a winner of these great headphones by Apple. Y'all know y'all want them. Come on, y'all. It's not cap. It costs a grip in the store, and I'm giving it away to a channel member. So once again, make sure you're subscribed. Be a channel member. Create a story on your IG. Hashtag #MeToMarry, and also make sure you tag your boy, Mingo365, and I got you. And I will announce the lucky winner next week, Saturday. So that way, during one of my live streams, we can see if it's you who won the pair of headphones. But until then, I'll see you. Peace. All right, y'all. Make sure you get them headphones. Make sure you get them headphones. They right here. They are right. Sorry, y'all. They are right here. I got them in my hands, and I'm trying to get to the post office to ship it to one of y'all. All you got to be is a channel member. Join the membership. You could join. You don't got to be a current one. You can now join the membership today. That's okay. And then after you do that, make sure that you are sharing #MeToMarry in your stories. Also, hashtag #MeToMarry, and make sure you at Mingo365. And I got you. Promise. But anyways, this was a good show. Great talking to y'all as usual on a Friday. Grown Men Trash Talk. I'ma see y'all on Sunday for open conversation. Much love, much respect. I'ma see y'all on the next one. Peace.
special,